The Young and the Restless spoilers A Game of Thrones in Genoa City. The battle for Newman Enterprises. The rumor mill in Genoa City had reached fever pitch. Whispers in the gilded corridors of Newman Enterprises hinted that Victor Newman's time might be drawing to an end, that the patriarch who had long ruled over the family empire could soon be nothing more than a memory. The possibility of Victor's death or permanent departure from YNR had sent shockwaves through every corner of the city, shaking the very foundation of power that had been taken for granted for decades. Amid this uncertainty, Adam Newman, always the ambitious and calculating one, was preparing for his moment. Adam had long viewed himself as the rightful heir to Victor's legacy. In his mind, he was not only more capable but also more deserving of the mantle of leadership. With his eyes fixed on the CEO seat at Newman Enterprises, Adam was ready to seize control of the company that had defined the Newman name for generations. He believed that his ascension would herald a new era, one marked by efficiency, ambition, and uncompromising standards. After all, in his view, respect was something that had to be earned, and power was the currency of that respect. But not everyone shared Adam's vision. On the opposite side of the family battlefield stood Nikki, Nick, and Victoria, three formidable figures who embodied the spirit of unity, loyalty, and tradition. For Nikki, in particular, the idea of Adam at the helm was anathema. To her, family meant more than just bloodlines and business deals. It meant protecting those who had been hurt and ensuring that every member of the Newman clan, no matter how complicated their past, was treated with fairness and dignity. Nikki feared that Adam's ruthless ambition would lead him to disregard the well-being of the family he claimed to love. His historical disregard for the family unit, especially when it came to the bonds she had forged with her children, only deepened her resolve to prevent his rise. As Adam plotted his course toward the CEO position, tensions mounted within Newman Enterprises. The boardroom became a battleground where strategic alliances were formed and loyalties were tested. Behind closed doors, Adam's voice grew more insistent, his proposals more daring. He argued that under his leadership, Newman Enterprises would not only survive the inevitable turbulence following Victor's potential exit but would emerge stronger and more competitive. In his vision, every decision was calculated, every risk measured. Yet, there was a coldness to his ambition, an insatiable hunger for power that left little room for empathy or compromise. In contrast, Nikki rallied those who believed that the Newman legacy was not solely defined by corporate triumphs but by the enduring strength of its family. She reminded the board, and anyone who would listen, that the family had weathered storms before, and that any future built on Adam's vision might leave Nikki and her children marginalized. She warned that if Adam were to become CEO, the collateral damage would be enormous. The very real possibility of a hostile takeover of the family's unity loomed large. For Nikki, this wasn't just about boardroom politics, it was about preserving the heart and soul of the Newman dynasty. She could not, in good conscience, allow her children, or anyone else in the family, to suffer under the weight of a leadership that treated them as mere obstacles on the path to a better, more lucrative future. The inheritance battle was already in full swing, a war fought with sharp words, veiled threats, and endless strategizing. Adam's supporters, though fewer in number, were unwavering. They admired his determination and believed that the Newman legacy needed a leader who was unafraid to make tough decisions, even if those decisions came at a personal cost. In their eyes, Adam's willingness to do whatever it took to secure a prosperous future for the enterprise was exactly what the company needed in uncertain times. His ambition was magnetic, drawing those who were willing to set aside sentimental notions of family for the promise of power and profit. Yet, a new wrinkle had emerged to complicate matters even further. The ominous possibility that Victor might not be finished after all had thrown a wrench into Adam's plans. Rumors swirled that Victor, the indomitable force who had built an empire from nothing, might be planning a comeback, a resurrection that would upend every calculation Adam had made. Victor's survival, or even his miraculous recovery, was the ultimate wild card. If he returned to the helm, all of Adam's machinations would be rendered moot, and the carefully laid plans of the board would be thrown into disarray. To the public and the devoted fans of YNR alike, every hint that Victor might re-emerge was enough to fuel a fevered speculation, a suspenseful weight that kept everyone guessing, their loyalties and allegiances in a state of perpetual flux. For Adam, the very thought of Victor's return was intolerable. It represented not only a personal defeat but also a setback to his grand vision of himself as the rightful successor. In private meetings and hushed conversations, Adam's true nature began to reveal itself. His words, once cloaked in the rhetoric of duty and family legacy, now carried the unmistakable tone of greed and selfishness. He spoke of a future where he ruled without interference, where every decision was his alone. In his eyes, respect was something to be commanded rather than nurtured, and any sign of weakness, be it from Nikki's protective instincts or Victoria's subtle interventions, was an opportunity to be exploited. As the internal struggle at Newman Enterprises intensified, so did the external drama. Media outlets caught wind of the power play, and gossip columns churned out headlines predicting a corporate coup that would forever alter the landscape of Genoa City. Shareholders began to question the stability of the leadership, and investors watched with bated breath as alliances shifted and counter-strategies emerged. In this maelstrom of ambition, loyalty, and treachery, the personal became political, and every family dispute was magnified against the backdrop of a corporate empire in turmoil. Nikki's worst fears had come to life. The impending power struggle was not just a battle for control of Newman Enterprises, it was a battle for the soul of the family itself. In the boardroom, heated debates raged. Adam's proposals were met with staunch resistance, and the air was thick with tension as old wounds were reopened and new alliances formed. Nikki, with her unyielding determination and maternal protectiveness, became the rallying cry for those who believed that family was worth more than profit margins and quarterly earnings. Yet, even as the war of inheritance raged, one question remained at the forefront of everyone's mind: what if Victor was still alive? What if the man they all revered, the man who had built an empire through blood, sweat, and an iron will, was not ready to step aside? The mere possibility that Victor could return to reclaim his throne added an extra layer of uncertainty to an already volatile situation. For Adam, it was an existential threat, a specter that haunted every strategic move he made. For Nikki and her loyalists, it was a beacon of hope, a reminder that despite the chaos, the legacy of the Newman name was far from over. In this high-stakes game of corporate chess, Adam's ambitions and his true colors were laid bare. His relentless pursuit of power, his willingness to sacrifice family ties and human decency, painted a picture of a man who would stop at nothing to achieve his vision. To him, leadership was not a responsibility but a reward, a prize to be claimed by the strongest and most ruthless. He wanted a life of luxury, a future where everyone bowed before him, and he was determined that nothing, and no one, would stand in his way. The battle lines had been drawn. On one side stood Nikki, Nick, and Victoria, united by a common cause, to protect the integrity and unity of the Newman family at all costs. On the other side stood Adam, a man whose ambition had grown monstrous in the shadow of impending power. The fate of Newman Enterprises, and indeed, the future of Genoa City's most storied dynasty, hung in the balance. Every decision, every whispered conversation, every subtle maneuver in the corridors of power carried the weight of destiny. As the clock ticked inexorably toward an uncertain future, one thing was clear: the struggle for the Newman legacy was far from over. With Victor's fate shrouded in mystery and the promise of his potential return looming large, the lines between friend and foe blurred. In this epic battle for control, every member of the Newman family would be forced to confront not only their ambitions but also the very nature of loyalty, respect, and what it truly meant to be part of a family. The stage was set for a dramatic confrontation, one that would determine who would ultimately shape the destiny of Newman Enterprises. And as the world watched with bated breath, it was evident that, in Genoa City, the pursuit of power was never just about business. It was about legacy, it was about survival, and, above all, it was about the ruthless price one had to pay for ambition. Fractured legacies, the battle for unity and inheritance in the Newman family. In the high-stakes world of Genoa City, the Newman family legacy has always been a story of power, betrayal, and ambition. For decades, Victor Newman built an empire on the pillars of determination and ruthless pragmatism, leaving behind a legacy that has both inspired and tormented those who call him family. Yet, in recent times, a new chapter of discord has emerged, one that threatens to shatter the very foundation of the Newman dynasty. Victor's heartbreak, a family torn apart. Victor Newman, the patriarch whose name once commanded respect and awe, now finds himself facing a pain he never thought possible. The sight of his wife and children, each once a symbol of hope and strength, falling into relentless discord fills him with a sorrow that words can scarcely capture. Once united by the promise of legacy and shared ambition, the family now teeters on the brink of ruin, fractured by internal strife and bitter rivalries. Even among his children, where kinship should foster unyielding solidarity, the bonds of blood are fraying. Nick and Victoria, despite being full siblings, have fallen prey to the temptations of greed and the corrosive influence of power. Their disputes, once hushed arguments in the corridors of Newman Enterprises, have grown into public quarrels that expose the underlying tensions within the family. It is a heartbreaking irony. Those who should be united in honor of their father's achievements now find themselves locked in a bitter struggle for control and recognition. The greed that corrupts, inheritance as a curse. At the heart of this familial battle lies an immense fortune, a legacy so vast that it has become both a blessing and a curse. The Newman wealth, accumulated through decades of shrewd business dealings and relentless ambition, has ignited a dangerous spark of greed in each family member. Money, power, and status have a way of revealing the darkest corners of the human heart, and none are immune to its allure. The once proud family is now mired in self-interest, their loyalties tested by the allure of more wealth and control. For Victor, watching his children succumb to the corrosive effects of greed is a source of unbearable anguish. He had envisioned a future where the Newman name would continue to be a beacon of excellence and unity, a testament to his life's work. Instead, he sees his legacy being dismantled from within, as every member of the family fights not for the collective good, but for personal gain. The inheritance that should have been a unifying force has, paradoxically, become a wedge that drives them further apart. Nikki's vision, unity against the illegitimate claim. Amid the chaos, Nikki stands as one of the few voices of reason determined to restore what has been lost. Fiercely protective of the family's honor, Nikki longs for unity among her children, especially between Nick and Victoria, who represent the true bloodline and the promise of the Newman legacy. In her eyes, the only way to salvage the future of the family is to join forces against a common enemy, Adam Newman. Adam, whose claim to the Newman legacy has always been a subject of controversy, is viewed by many as nothing more than a bastard, a threat to the unity and integrity of the family. Nikki is resolute in her belief that Nick and Victoria must set aside their differences and band together to defeat Adam, removing him from the line of succession once and for all. In her eyes, this is not merely a personal vendetta but a necessary step to ensure that the Newman name is preserved and respected for what it truly represents. Adam's relentless pursuit of recognition. Yet, Adam Newman is not one to be easily dismissed. With a swagger that belies the scorn he faces, Adam is determined to prove that he is every bit a son of Victor Newman. His ambition is as unyielding as it is dangerous, driven by a hunger for power and a need to be recognized as the rightful heir. Every move he makes, every calculated risk, is designed to cement his status within the family, and within the empire his father built. Adam's pursuit is not without its merits, however. There is a certain brilliance in his strategy, a cold logic that makes him a formidable force in the cutthroat arena of corporate politics. He positions himself as the antithesis of weakness, willing to embrace the harsh realities of power to carve out a future that is uniquely his own. Yet, his methods are steeped in greed and self-interest, qualities that threaten to undermine the very unity that Nikki so desperately seeks. His insistence on being acknowledged as Victor's true son is not just a personal crusade, it is a manifesto of ambition. Adam's actions are a declaration that the Newman legacy is not static but a living, breathing entity that must evolve. His perfect pathway, as he sees it, is one where every obstacle is overcome by sheer will and determination, and where no one, not even his own siblings, can stand in his way. The uncertain future, a family divided by ambition as the internal war over the inheritance intensifies, the future of the Newman family hangs in a precarious balance. The inevitable clashes between Nick, Victoria, and Adam are not just battles for control of an empire, they are battles for the very soul of a family whose legacy has been built on unity, ambition, and resilience. Nikki's hope for a unified front against Adam is a noble one, yet it faces an uphill battle in a family where greed and self-interest have become almost insurmountable. The fear that Victor holds, a vision of a family splintered beyond repair, grows with each passing day. Every public spat between Nick and Victoria, every whispered conversation in the boardroom, only serves to deepen the rift. The once formidable Newman family, revered for its power and influence, now seems poised on the edge of collapse. The specter of Adam's ambition looms large, threatening to consume any semblance of order that remains. A father's silent despair for Victor Newman, this internal discord is nothing short of a personal tragedy. He has spent a lifetime building a legacy, not just as a titan of industry, but as a father who hoped to see his children stand together as guardians of his life's work. To witness them tear each other apart over an inheritance is a pain that cuts deeper than any corporate defeat. His heart, once buoyed by the promise of family unity, is now heavy with sorrow as he contemplates the future of a dynasty he fought so hard to create. In quiet moments, away from the glare of the public eye, Victor reflects on the irony of it all. The very wealth and power that he amassed, meant to secure his family's future, has instead become the source of its greatest vulnerability. He longs for a day when his children will rise above their baser instincts, when they will remember that the true value of the Newman legacy lies not in money or power, but in the bonds of family. Yet, as greed tightens its grip on each member, that hope seems increasingly distant. The battle lines drawn now, as the war over the Newman legacy intensifies, the stage is set for a showdown that could redefine the future of Genoa City. Nikki's call for unity is a desperate plea for a return to values that once held the family together, a call to set aside personal ambitions for the greater good. But with Adam's insatiable drive and the deep-seated greed that infects every corner of the family, the battle lines are drawn in blood and ambition. Will Nick and Victoria be able to overcome their differences and join forces against Adam? Can they silence the forces of greed long enough to honor the true spirit of the Newman legacy? Or will Adam's relentless ambition prevail, ushering in an era where power is prized above all else, and the family is forever divided by a bitter, unyielding rivalry? As the conflict rages on, one thing remains clear: the Newman family stands at a crossroads. The choices made in the coming days will not only determine who inherits the empire, but will also decide whether the family can ever reclaim the unity and strength that once defined them. In this high-stakes struggle for power, legacy, and recognition, the price of ambition may prove too steep for even the mighty Newman name to bear. In the end, Victor's silent despair echoes through the halls of Newman Enterprises, a somber reminder that even the most powerful legacies can crumble when the ties that bind them are torn apart by greed and ambition.